Coming up tonight on the News at 5. Governor Greg Gianforte announces new vaccination guidelines aimed at protecting Montana's most vulnerable populations. Plus, one Great Falls family is sharing their experience with remote learning and why they are relieved to be back in the classroom.
From Montana's news leader, this is MTN News at 5.
Well, good afternoon. Welcome to the News at 5. I'm Marian Davidson. Thanks for joining us. Our top story at 5, Governor Greg Gianforte leaves a statewide mask mandate in place, but lays out clear criteria for when he will rescind the order and says other changes are coming. MTN's Jonathan Ambarian was at Gianforte's first press conference since he took office and details what was discussed.
Governor Greg Gianforte announced Tuesday that his new administration will make a shift in priorities in battling COVID. Gianforte said he plans to revise or replace a number of directives from the previous governor. First, he will prioritize getting vaccines to people 70 and older and those with conditions that put them at higher risk for complications. That group could include up to 300,000 Montanans. Gianforte also said he plans to remove the statewide mask mandate, but not immediately. He said he would rescind the mandate only after more of the vulnerable population receives the vaccine, and after the legislature approves a bill to protect businesses, schools, and other organizations from lawsuits, if they make a good faith effort to protect people from COVID. He said he believes incentives will be more effective than mandates.
Our goal is to make these new directives and guidance very clear. They will be practical and will take into account that while we are in the middle of a public health crisis, we are also in the middle of an economic crisis.
Gianforte said there's not a specific timetable yet for removing the mask mandate, but he hopes it will be in weeks rather than months. In Helena, Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.
The governor also announced coming changes to the state's COVID-19 dashboard, including adding data on the number of vaccines administered in Montana. So what do the governor's plans for COVID-19 mandates and restrictions mean for individual counties? Well, the Cascade County Board of Health meets tomorrow. They plan to consider local COVID-19 directives. When the board met in November and put new restrictions in place, their goal was to achieve a virus spread rate of 25 new cases per 100,000 people for 4 weeks straight. Today, the rate for new cases in Cascade County was roughly 111 per 100,000. If the county enacts more restrictive measures than the state, the county's measures supersede what the state says. Now, state measures have not changed yet, but if they do, the county can enact their own mask mandates and capacity limits. Now taking a look at Montana's COVID-19 situation, COVID-19 case numbers are back on the rise in the state. 723 additional COVID-19 cases have been reported since last night, bringing the number of active cases in the state to just under 5,000. 5 more deaths were reported since last night as well, and that brings the statewide total to 1,034 deaths. Active hospitalizations also rose since yesterday and are just over 200. MTN uses a combination of state and local data to provide you with the most up-to-date numbers regarding COVID-19 in our state, and because of that, our numbers may differ from the state. All right, now it's time for a check of our forecast with Chief Meteorologist Curtis Gravenitz.
Well, good afternoon, Marian. Good afternoon, everybody. It was a little slick out there this morning. You had to be careful on your scooters. Beep, beep, beep. Here's a live look up on McDonald Pass, and conditions not so bad. Mainly west and southwestern Montana picking up some of that snow. That system is moving out. A lot of sunshine and wind moving in through the course of the day today, but there's another storm to talk about. It's always another storm. Depends on exactly how that will impact Montana. I'll let you know that, but a little short on snow. Think of the snowmen. Think of the children that want to build snowmen out there this winter. Not a very good snowman building season thus far. Windy weekend part deux. No, it won't be as windy as last weekend, but there will be wind this weekend. And hey, are you having a few long days? Well, at least the sunshine is a little bit longer each and every day out there. I'll have more on the full forecast coming up.
All right, thanks for that, Curtis. Well, new tonight at 5, staff members at senior living facilities in Great Falls are now being vaccinated against COVID-19. Highgate staff members got their first vaccines yesterday. MTN's Coulter Anstad reports.
Ines Gorder is excited to know staff members at Highgate Senior Living, where she lives with her husband, are getting the COVID-19 vaccine.
I think that's the way we need to go to be safe.
Garter and other residents are also being vaccinated. She says she already feels safer.
I haven't worried about it at all.
Residents received their first shot last week.
I'm looking for the second one.
Highgate Life Enhancement Coordinator Tawna Wittenberg was one of the staff members who chose to get vaccinated.
Very excited. We know that we've got to get back to normality at some point, and I think this is the first step into doing that.
Pictures posted to Highgate's Facebook page Monday show staff members receiving their first dose of the Moderna vaccine. Wittenberg says she worried about potential negative side effects of the vaccine, but the benefits outweigh the risk.
I trust the scientists, and I think they know what they're doing, and my main concern is keeping our residents safe. And by us getting the vaccine, it increases that chance that they will be safe.
In Great Falls, Colter Anstad, MTN News.
The staff members and residents expect to receive their second dose of the vaccine in about 4 weeks. And we all know middle school can be tough, but one GFPS student says he prefers walking the hallways and learning lessons in class rather than at home. In-person classes recently resumed after the district shut down for several weeks following positive COVID-19 cases on several campuses. East Middle School student Nick Steele is diagnosed with high-functioning autism, sensory processing disorder, oppositional defiance disorder, and ADHD. The socialization he gets at school has been missed. Mother Kristen Steele is also relieved to be sending Nick and his siblings back to school. Both she and her husband work full-time. She says the family faced challenges during the pandemic with kids at home, including focus and engagement during remote classes and a weak Wi-Fi signal.
What is your favorite part about school?
Being there. Homework's always been a struggle for him, but then for him to actually have to sit on a computer for his classes all day, we try and limit electronics in the house just because it's hard to get him off of it. So having all these programs on the computer, it got to be a struggle, and he got to the point he didn't want to do it. So, I mean, at what point do you just kind of throw in the towel? Is it worth the meltdowns, or do you just let him kind of do his thing?
The Great Falls Public School District shared its enrollment data with MTN. Nearly 4,900 middle school students are attending classes in person versus around 600 students who are registered for remote learning. And we will have more from the Steele family tonight at 10. And you could win a trip to the Super Bowl next year thanks to the American Red Cross. Anyone who donates blood this month will be entered to win a getaway to the big game in LA. If you donate blood between now and January 20th, you could also win a 65-inch TV and $500 to watch the game at home. The Red Cross partnered with the NFL to create this offer as a way to address the need for convalescent plasma. That is plasma from the blood of people who have had COVID-19 and recovered, and it is used to help treat others. But something to keep in mind, all blood donation appointments in Great Falls are full right now, but there are some appointments available in surrounding areas.
We're very thankful, and we're really encouraging people to try and make an appointment if possible. Just with the COVID stuff going on, and social distancing, and we want to make sure that we spread things out.
The Red Cross is also in need of volunteers to help at blood drives, especially in rural areas. For more information and to find out how you can volunteer, head to our website, ktvh.com. And speaking of blood donations, pet blood donations are needed nationwide right now. The pandemic has impacted how much blood is available for transfusions. One pet hospital tells us it saw nearly a 20% drop in blood donations last year compared to the same time period in 2019. Also, the hospital says because people are working from home more, they're noticing more issues in their pets and taking them in for care. And another reason for the shortage, pet ownership has increased. And when we come back, Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenitz will have a complete check of your forecast and STORMTRACKER weather. And later, we have heard a lot about Congress certifying election results, but what does that mean? Joe St. George breaks it down for us.
STORMTRACKER weather starts now with Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenitz.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Let's take a look at one of the bigger overall patterns, and we are stuck in this pattern here, looking at the whole globe right here. And yeah, a little storm went through last night into this morning, some rain showers, a few flakes of snow. That system's moving out, but what has persisted is high pressure in the western United States and a lot of storminess out here in the Pacific. Once again, we've got multiple areas of low pressure here, which isn't too unusual, but the persistent pattern is a little in the way unusual, and it's almost like there is a giant area of low pressure that is out here, and sometimes think of the jet stream as a seesaw. So if it's going down over here, it's going to go up over here, and in the western United States, even western Canada, that's where we're in the up or the ridge of high pressure, and it looks like that will continue for at least maybe another couple of weeks. So more dry ground. 35 degrees in Great Falls, southwest wind 14 miles per hour. A fair day in the capital city, 38 degrees right now, west wind at 13 miles per hour. 30s, a couple of areas down into the 20s right now, but we could be 20 to 30 degrees below zero, as you all are aware. And the wind, not too bad out there. A little breezy up on the Rocky Mountain front. Any little showers or flakes of snow moving out of eastern Montana into the Dakotas, and a little more snow up into British Columbia. Boy, Washington and Oregon kind of seeing a lot of storminess here with the position of the jet stream taking these storms up across those states and then to the north of Montana. And that also contributes to some really dry weather across our state. A little bit more in the way of precipitation west of the divide. And again, pretty quiet throughout a lot of the lower 48. Alaska's been hit pretty hard this season by persistent storminess. So here's a look at what will happen. We've got a few clouds increasing in the western sky here tonight. Tomorrow, I think this is a little more sunshine than we will see. We'll have some high thin cirrus clouds going overhead, so making for some filtered sunshine, becoming mostly cloudy by the afternoon and the evening. And at night, there will be a little disturbance coming through with a touch of snow. After midnight around Helena and Great Falls, moving out through the central part of the state through the early morning hours here. So it could be a little slick on the roads on Thursday morning. But by Thursday afternoon, clouds already beginning to break up around Helena and Great Falls and around the Cup Bank area. And that snow will move through eastern Montana through the afternoon. Light snow, not a lot accumulating here. Here's a look at the snowfall amounts through, again, Wednesday night into Thursday morning. We're talking half an inch maybe to an inch in the lower elevations, as much as 3 or 4 inches into the mountains here. So not a big snowstorm, but when we've had a low snow year, it's something notable coming through. So here's a look at the lows for tonight. A little cooler than last night and not as wet and snowy in some areas. Temperatures down into the teens and the 20s for the most part. So a little on the cool side. Here's the forecast for tomorrow. Another mild, windy day for Great Falls and a lot of areas off of the Rocky Mountain front. A little snow up there at Glacier National Park. You can see north central Montana, 50 degrees in Havre and Big Sandy, 52 in Loma and Geraldine. Northeast Montana, I mean, you could wear shorts tomorrow with weather like that. Almost 50 in Lewistown. And we're looking at temperatures in the 30s and the 40s near Helena with increasing clouds through the day. Now, here's the 7-day forecast. Tomorrow, increasing clouds, 43 degrees. A little light snow Wednesday night into Thursday morning. A coating up to an inch. That's about it. Friday, Saturday, Sunday into Monday. Not too bad. Temperatures comfortable, a little above average, and we'll have partly cloudy skies. Not very windy in Helena this weekend. For Great Falls, some wind tomorrow, little light snow on Thursday morning, but Friday, Saturday, Sunday, not too shabby here. Nice little break from the wind on Friday, and this weekend, wind increasing, but not as bad as last weekend.
All right, thanks for that, Curtis. Well, tomorrow, a showdown in Washington with Congress set to vote and certify the Electoral College. So how exactly will it unfold? Our Joe St. George walks us through what will happen and if anything will change.
The election may have been in November, but Wednesday technically is when the 2020 election will be officially over, with Congress set to certify the Electoral College vote, which took place last month.
Usually this process doesn't receive a ton of attention, but it is this year because President Trump hasn't conceded the election.
So what should you expect during the Electoral College certification vote? Well, the vote will begin around 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Vice President Mike Pence will preside because he's also president of the Senate. Each state will be called in alphabetical order and the results read out loud. Any member of Congress can object to a result. An objection can only be heard, though, if a senator and a representative put that objection in writing. If that happens, up to a 2-hour debate will begin, followed by a vote.
Now, this is why this process is going to take a while on Wednesday. Over 100 Republicans are expected to object to the results. Each objection takes time, although we don't know how many states Republicans will object to.
Now, the big question, will the Electoral College certification vote change anything? The answer is no. In order to deny President-elect Biden the presidency, a majority in the House and the Senate would have to object. And so far, President Trump doesn't have the votes. The last time an objection like this occurred was by Democrats in 2005, who didn't want George W. Bush to win. The difference, though, is that time Senator John Kerry, who ran against Bush, did not support the effort. This time, President Trump does. Outside the Capitol on Wednesday, thousands of pro-Trump supporters are expected. Security has been heightened in our nation's capital, with the National Guard deployed. In Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
Well, Representative Matt Rosendale says he supports an effort to create an electoral commission to conduct a 10-day audit of election returns. He said, quote, "I will be voting to oppose the certification of the presidential electors from certain disputed states. Democrats have done the same thing in every presidential election since 2000 that has been won by a Republican." The congressman went on to say all Americans have the right to a fair, secure election and should be confident that the process ensures all legitimate ballots are counted. You can read the full statement at KTVH.com. And coming up next on the news at 5, high school basketball season kicks into high gear tonight, and this year's athletes are not taking their time on the court for granted.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching MTN News at 5.
Welcome back to the News at 5. Thanks so much for spending some time with us this evening. Well, winter sports competition returned over the weekend with a handful of games, but the high school basketball season really kicks into high gear tonight. MTN's Tom Wiley tells us why players are not taking their time on the court for granted.
It's been an incredibly long off-season for every basketball team in Montana, but after a month of practice and precautions, competition finally resumes tonight for AA teams in our viewing area, starting with the Great Falls High Bison in a doubleheader with Belgrade.
Practices, for almost a month that just wears on the kids a little bit, and I know they are itching to kind of get to a game and stuff, but
it means a lot because every time you don't really know when your next chance is going to be to get on the floor. You don't know when a coach is going to be able to come. You don't really know the next time you're going to be able to get on the floor. So really every time we get a chance to play basketball, we always got to take advantage of it. So that's just been my main thing through all this, because in the quarantine I knew it was go to a park, but that was really it. So getting in here is really nice.
And so I've told them, I said, things are going to change all year long. Just be ready for that. It can't bother you. You might be playing JV one day and then playing varsity the next or whatever, just because we need you to do that. So they have to be ready for the change, and that's just the way it's going to be.
We'll have highlights from both the boys and girls game, plus Class B rivalry up in Shelby, the Coyotes hosting Fairfield, and we'll take a look at crosstown wrestling in Helena. All that tonight at 10. But for now in Great Falls, Tom Wiley, MTN Sports.
And up next, one fire department in Florida had the most 2020 call to end the year. But first, here is a look at what is coming up next on Nightly News.
When we welcome our West Coast viewers, we'll look at life after getting COVID shots. How soon does normalcy follow? Also, the distractions some folks could use. 2 huge lottery jackpots up for grabs. Tonight, how COVID may for some be changing fantasies of hitting it big. When we see you for NBC Nightly News.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching MTN News at 5.
Welcome back. Well, you have probably heard people call 2020 a dumpster fire, so it only makes sense that one Florida fire department, and of course it's Florida, ended the year by responding to an ironic last call. Yep, a dumpster fire. Now, as they were counting down to the new year, Brevard County firefighters were called out to an actual dumpster on fire. They put it out and no one was hurt, but the department says it kind of summed up 2020. The firefighters even took a picture by the dumpster after putting out the flames. So here's to 2021.
Yeah, how'd you spend the New Year's? With a hose, putting out a dumpster fire?
I mean, it kind of felt like it, 2020 out the door.
Just a little bit. Well, here's looking ahead into 2021, a little light snow on Thursday. The weekend should be dry and fairly mild for this time of year.
All right, and that does it for the news at 5. Thanks for making us a part of your evening. NBC Nightly News is next.